Hi everyone and welcome back to Story of the World Highlights. We're going to continue in chapter 16, but we're going to do a part 2 now. So now let's talk about scientific farming. So the second part of this chapter was talking about scientific farming, which was still bringing that scientific method we discussed in the Enlightenment period and how greatly it changed the way that philosophers and people were thinking about how people should be governed, about how things should work, why things work. This now also extended into farming. They were using those same scientific methods of using observation and data to form conclusions about how things work and should work in order to grow and better produce their products. So during scientific farming, one of the big things that had to change was the way that they plant their crops. Now, when they were planting their crops before, they realized that if they kept planting the same crop all year long, year after year, eventually the crop's quality went down. And this, they concluded, was because it was eating all the nutrients in the soil. But thanks to Lord Charles Townshend, who was going around and looking at all the different elements and data and observing crops, he realized that not all crops use the same minerals. So if we rotate our crops and plant different things throughout the year, the ground in the soil will have time to replenish itself, refill up. So we're never completely out of a certain mineral. And this means that they could be growing things all year long, making more money, and the quality of their produce would not go down. It would stay the same. So things like this, crop rotation, really helped farmers understand that by using scientific method and modern ways of farming, they could end up making a lot more money. Now that farmers, though, were interested in making more money and knowing that experimenting and using different modern methods could help them get there, they were really interested in farming and doing things with their own stuff. They didn't want other people taking their advances and using it to turn profit. So what they ended up doing is the Parliament passed a new law called the Acts of Enclosure. And what the Acts of Enclosure did is it took the large areas of land that people in different villages would just farm in general without specific ownership. And what they did is that they divided the land and put up fences around it and gave smaller private land to individual farmers. Now, this was great for farmers who could afford it, because in order to get this Acts of Enclosure to happen in your area, you had to pay for the government person to come out and look at the size and divide it up, and you had to pay for the materials to make the fence. So for farmers who had resources like money, they could do that. But for farmers who were a little on the poorer side, unfortunately, they had to give up farming. And they ended up selling their plots of land to other people who could afford it. And so certain farmers who were able to buy land from neighboring farmers, they ended up growing their farms in size and allowed them to continue to try crossbreeding and try different new techniques and continuing to make more and more profit. Now, all of this led to what we also call the agricultural revolution. Now, the agricultural revolution included many different components, but this was the very beginning of it and just where it started to grow. That's it for chapter 16. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.